Welcome to Pieces for My Puzzle. I'm your host, Nikki Ship, and I'm excited to be sharing with you my life with a son on the spectrum. This podcast is for anyone who is looking for quick tips and perspective, but most of all, for hope and inspiration. So sit back, relax, and let's put the pieces together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Pieces for My Puzzle. I'm your host, Nikki Ship. Thank you so much for joining us today. Last week, I had the great pleasure of having Miss Melinda Perry on the show. If you did not get a chance to check out that episode, please do. We had a wonderful conversation about her coaching and how she helps youth find their strengths doing Clifton Strengths Finder. I absolutely enjoyed every minute of that conversation. I appreciate, Melinda, your time, your expertise. Thanks again for being on the show. This week, I am especially excited because I am having Mr. Mike Ringel on the show today. Mike is a financial expert with deep experience in investments, retirement planning, and insurance. Known for his approachable guidance, Mike helps individuals and families make confident financial decisions and to reach their goals. As a dedicated member of his community, he's committed to building lasting relationships and supporting clients on their journey to financial success. Please welcome Mike to the show today.
Hello, how are you?
Hi,
Thanks for inviting me.
Good. How are you? It's great to have you here. It's been a long time coming. We've talked about it a long time ago, having you on the show.
We have, and I've been looking forward to it. And, that was a great introduction. You'll have
Thank
to
you.
send that to me. I might send that to other podcast hosts to use.
You're like, can I submit that? Oh, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you. Well, I really wanted to have you on the show because we had such a great conversation about, what you're doing for families and helping families. And of course, being very active in the special needs community myself, I really wanted you to be able to come on the show and to get the word out. So, but just to kind of start, what led you into financial services and how did you become passionate about helping families plan their future?
That's a really great question. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my career at Deloitte & Touche back in the 90s, realized sitting behind a desk all day as an accountant wasn't for me.
Okay.
Went back to achieve my MBA from NYU and started a company with a bunch of other friends for entrepreneurs, bringing business owners together for them to talk to each other about the different issues and challenges in their business. It was basically a support group for business owners. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of businesses and unfortunately a lot of marriages, we broke up. Mm-hmm. We got a divorce in 2024 and some partners wanted to go in one direction and I wanted to go in another direction. I was 36 years old, married, 2 kids, and now no income. Mm-hmm. And I figured, what can I do with my background to be able to provide value for families? Yeah. Because I knew that if I provide value, then the money would come.
Right.
So I actually called up my advisor and said, hey, you always wanted to get this call. You never thought you would, but, I think I would be phenomenal at this career. Mm-hmm. And my wife said, so basically you want to start at zero. And I said, absolutely. I want to build something, from scratch. And I want to do it in a way that's different than other advisors who, in my experience, and maybe your audience feels it as well, are just trying to sell product to people.
Yeah.
There are too many people in my industry who are just trying to sell the next best investment, insurance policy, annuity.
Right.
And because of my background at Deloitte, what we did is we go in and we analyze what is, mm-hmm. we share some ideas of what's possible, and then we use financial products in the marketplace to fulfill on the outcome that people want to achieve.
Right.
That was pretty uncommon, in the financial services industry. And for the last 20 years, that's how my partners and I approach working with families. It's not about selling products. It's about identifying what the outcomes you would like to achieve and then going to the market and finding the best product and service to fulfill on whatever outcome you're looking for.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think, and it's such a I jokingly say this, but there is some truth behind this. Like, this is kind of a daunting subject for some people, right? And also a little bit of a scary, I think, subject, because there's a lot of unknowns, because, I don't have financial background, or, have even the little that I've educated myself about finances. It's like, we're not really taught that either growing up. So it's like, you get out into adulthood, you get married, you start having a family, and then you're like,
Yeah.
maybe I should start thinking about these things, and,
Yeah.
and so you kind of flounder a little bit with that. I mean, at least I know we did in our household. I know you work closely with parents who face unique challenges, because that was part of some of the
Yes.
conversation that we've had before. So how
Mhm.
does planning shift when a child has special needs like autism?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think that in our experience, most of the families that we meet are extremely overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
with what's going on in their
Yes.
day-to-day lives. I mean, you
Yes.
mentioned it. There's so
Yeah.
many variables, so many uncertainties, that they know that the work that we do, that we guide them through on the financial and estate planning side, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is they don't make it urgent,
Okay.
because always something else comes up.
Yeah.
And if you have multiple children, some may be neurotypical, some may not be.
You're
Well,
right.
now you've got a balance between all the kids and the family and the therapies and speech pathology. And, like we talked about, suing school districts. You
Mm-hmm.
know, in New York, it's interesting. Parents pay out of pocket six figures for private school to then get refunded by the city a year later. So they actually have to come up with the money first. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's just
So what we
crazy.
so what we discovered was that if we could help guide families to take
Mm-hmm.
steps on what needs to get done, and
Mm-hmm.
let us guide the families on those steps, then
Yeah.
they can achieve the outcomes they're looking to achieve, and they could focus their time on what's most important for them, which is their families.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
what we also discovered is most people's financial world, it's like a it's like a junk drawer in the kitchen, right? You just acquire stuff, products,
Yeah.
right? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You buy some life insurance because you have kids. You have your 401k because that's what they told you to do. You funded
Right.
529 because somebody told you need to save for college. You have savings account, checking account. You have all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
first step, right, if you're listening to this and you want to know where to start, is you get financially organized. What
Mm-hmm.
do you have? Where is it? With no judgment,
Right.
right? You are where you are. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is.
Right. It's just the current
And you get
circumstance. That's
organized.
it. Yeah.
That's it. And,
Yeah.
and like, I work with families who go, "Oh, we should have done this years ago." Great. Let's
Right.
start today.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I
that's the
think
first step.
I think too. Like, I know for me, when we started going down our financial journey, it was like very daunting at first. But I think it was just for me personally, the fear of the unknown. Like, I thought it was going to be really, really difficult. But having somebody to guide you, or I love that you bring up the organizational piece, because
Yeah.
it is so important to understand that part of it, to have that sense of organization. Because once you kind of see it mapped out, there's so much clarity that can come to mind with that. You see it and go, oh, okay, it's not, it's not going to look
Yeah.
as bad as I thought it's going to. And it does give you not hope, but almost like clarity, like, okay, we can do this. We can put money here or decide what's going to work best for our family. And so I love that you bring in the organizational piece of that, because that's not something that people really talk about, is getting financially organized at all.
They don't.
Yeah.
And what might stop them from meeting with an advisor, right? Whether it's me and my team who specialize in working with families with children with special needs, or someone
Yeah.
else, is what you said, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit of the embarrassment of, I can't believe we're only here.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. So there's a concept that we employ. It's called, well, it's about like minding the gap,
Okay.
right? So understand where you are
Mm-hmm.
from where you've been. right? It's called
Okay.
we call I've learned it's called the gap in the gain. Most people measure to where they want to go, and because they're always measuring to the horizon, they feel overwhelmed. I'm never going to get there. How can we retire, have a great income when we retire, and leave a legacy for my children?
Yeah.
But if you measure backwards from where
Mm-hmm.
you've been to where you are now, you start to live in a world of abundance and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you know what? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we had nothing, and now we have this.
Right.
Great, we have this. So now, if you continue doing what you're doing, you're living in what we call the default future. You know what's going to happen.
Right.
And if you're okay with that, you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no judgment.
Right.
But wouldn't it be great to know that there are other possibilities that you could choose?
Right.
And if you could choose those possibilities, what are the projected outcomes?
Right. And
And then use financial products to fulfill those outcomes.
and that's so great because you basically, it's like you get that picture of, oh, this is really doable. This is actually, this can
Yeah.
happen, because you can shift. I think sometimes too, at least for me personally, I know I've gotten really siloed in where I think, when I think about finances, like this is just what it is and it just stays that way. But I,
Right.
I think you bring up a really important point that it can shift. It can shift. It
Sure.
can change based on taking actionable steps for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And having somebody guide you through what the proper steps are.
Yeah.
One of the challenges, I put a survey out on LinkedIn and Facebook recently asking people in groups of families with children with special needs what their greatest financial concerns are.
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelming, it was being able to protect their children from receiving government benefits,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost.
Yeah. Yep.
That was number one. And people go to conferences and they talk to friends and they listen. They hear phrases like a special needs trust and a first party special needs trust and this third party special needs trust and an able account and a letter of intent. And they get confused,
Yeah.
right? And therefore they take no action.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so what we like to do is say, okay, now that you're financially organized and we know what is, we
Yep.
now want to be able to say, okay, what's the most important outcome for you over the next year,
Right.
next 2 years, next 3 years, and take it piece by piece. And then what our team does is we monitor what needs to get done
Mm-hmm.
while the families focus on what's most important to them.
Yeah.
And yet they could have that shift if they're willing to, come out of their comfort zone to know what is.
Right. And I think you offer such a great perspective of showing them what that potential is or where that can go. It doesn't have to stay here if you don't want it to. Here's the potential of what can happen. And I love that you can kind of give that picture to families. Many parents in the neurodivergent community, we worry about the long term.
Yeah,
And, especially like who will care for my child. I worry about that all the time with Drayson, especially
sure.
even into adulthood. So, are there any tools or strategies that you guys use to help address that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, we have a conversation about it,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So the
Yeah, of
first,
course.
let's talk about it. What are some of the biggest concerns that you have?
Yeah,
And you just mentioned a bunch for you and your family. Okay,
right.
great. Let's talk about the potential people who could help out because it takes a team approach,
Yeah.
right, to help families deal with all the challenges they have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, a lot of families are concerned, okay, so when the parents aren't here, how do you
Mm-hmm.
protect the money for your child,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we believe in planning for the worst, hoping for the best.
Okay.
We talk about a special needs trust, a third party special needs trust, where money eventually flows into this trust for the benefit of your child
Mm-hmm.
and will keep them qualified from receiving government benefits.
Yeah.
Because if money goes directly to your child, it will disqualify them if it's more than $2,000 in their name.
Yeah.
So how do you use how do you use the tools? A third party special needs trust is just a tool for you
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do what we call legacy planning
Mm-hmm.
and leave a boatload of money for all your kids.
Yeah.
And we believe the most efficient and effective way to do that is by using permanent life insurance that provides tax-free dollars sometime in the future,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, you know a boatload of money is going to go into the trust or
Yeah.
split between all your children. Again,
Right.
life insurance is just a tool to help you
Right.
get what you want.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that you can present those strategies because again, for someone like me walking in, it's like I don't just, help paint this picture for me.
Yeah.
I would think and I think it is daunting for someone like me per se because I don't understand the jargon. I don't understand the infrastructures of some of these policies. And so
Right.
having someone like you to explain that to families, I would assume for you too, like you probably love the impact that that's made for families
Oh, yeah.
to empower them in a way that they feel like, okay, we're going to be fine, you know?
I think that is a great point. I think overall, people just want to know that they're going to be okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they want to know that
Absolutely.
they want to know that their children are going to be okay.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's the conversations we've had in our family about
Yeah.
Drayson. We want to just make sure Drayson's okay and taken care of and that we're okay
Right.
too. I want to enjoy my retirement years as well.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of families in the neurodivergent community, we get overwhelmed with medical costs, therapies
Sure.
expenses, and even educational planning. How do you approach some of these conversations with families?
The exact same way as we do financially.
Same thing.
What's
Yeah.
the biggest concern that you have? What are you thinking about right now? And getting you to the right people within the community
Right.
to be able to support you.
Right.
Um, my partners and I, we host webinars every month with organizations around the country. We're hosting one next week for the ARC of New Jersey.
That's
We have
awesome.
150 families already signed up. We work
That's
with
awesome.
Autism Today, Autism Society, Autism New Jersey, Gigi's Playhouse, a whole bunch of different
Hmm.
organizations to bring this education to families.
Yeah.
And we also discovered when they're ready, they're ready,
Right.
right? So families may listen to this and go, "Oh, that's awesome," but we're not ready.
Yeah.
All right, well, but take one step,
Right.
right? The first step, get financially organized. And
Right.
I can share with you a free tool that takes 5 minutes to complete online, completely secure and private, unless a family wants to hit submit, and they would share that information with me, and then we'd have a free conversation about them and their family and what they're looking to achieve.
Right.
But it shouldn't be that daunting, and I've got a tool to share with you. Literally takes 5 minutes to complete.
That's great. And is that on your website? How can people access that tool?
I'll make sure I put it on the website. I'll send you the link as well.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
I know you put it in your show notes or
Yeah.
when you send it out.
I was gonna say for our listeners today, I can post it in the show notes and that way they can get in touch with you about it because I think that would be something of great value for a lot of our families listening today. So for our listeners who are listening,
Yeah.
I will definitely put that in the show notes. Some families, this was something that we talked about on our discovery call, and I made a note of this, but some families believe that you need to be wealthy to create
Right.
a meaningful financial plan. So
Uh-huh.
I loved that we kind of talked about this. How do you reassure parents who are just trying to make ends meet that you don't
Sure.
have to be wealthy to do this?
Yeah, that's a great question and concern. What is wealth,
Right.
right? And what is wealthy? I mean, it's so subjective.
Right.
Yeah,
It's true.
it is. So, I
Yeah.
mean, so in my so from the core, from the simplest, from the least expensive thing a family could do is go out and buy inexpensive term insurance,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are different types of life insurance. There's term insurance, which is insurance that lasts for a specific amount of time, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and then it's
Okay.
over,
Right.
right? And it's if you're in good health, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's really not that expensive. So you can get
Right.
a half million, $1 million policy for, I don't know, a couple bucks a month.
Yeah.
The challenge is that policy will end and then you're 20 or 30 years closer to mortality. And most of the families we work with are going to want to eventually get permanent life insurance
Mm-hmm.
because they know that they must plan for two lifetimes,
Mm-hmm.
their lifetime and their child's lifetime.
Got it.
And that's one way to start. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I mean, the most precious financial resource we have is our ability to produce income for our families.
Yes.
And if it goes away, if you die or get sick, think of the devastating impact it could have for your family.
Right.
So the easiest thing to do, go out and get some term insurance.
Right. That's
Protect
great.
your family if something happens to you. It's not
That's great.
expensive.
It's great advice. It's really great advice. Now, I know, again, we also talked about this, and I wanted our listeners to also be able to get some education on this, but can you explain what estate planning means for families with special needs children and why that's critical? Because this was also something that you and I talked about when we had
Yeah.
our discovery call that I think is so important for families to hear.
Yeah. So estate planning is all about giving instructions to what happens to your stuff when you're not
Mm-hmm.
here.
Right.
And stuff includes your finances.
Yeah.
And a lot of families that we come across when we meet, there are basically three options that you have. The first is you could just have wills for husband, wife, partner, partner, and leave everything outright to your children.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leave money outright to your child with special needs, number one, they may not be able to have the financial wherewithal or responsibility to handle the money. And number two, if they have more than $2,000 in their name, that'll disqualify them from receiving SSI and Medicaid, right? So they
Interesting.
can't
Okay.
have more than $2,000 in their name.
Yeah.
The second thing you can do is you can disinherit your child, meaning that you leave everything to other people, friends, family, other children, with the hope that they're going to spend that money on your child.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm
You know,
like, that's a risk.
it's a huge risk.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you got to hope they're going to do that.
Right.
Second of all, the money becomes or could become susceptible to creditors, predators, divorce, loss, not spending on your child. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
third thing, what you really want to do is explore the possibility of a third party special needs trust, where the money for your child with special needs is going to go into this trust,
Mm-hmm.
and that trust protects it so that your child will not be disqualified from receiving government benefits if the money's in the trust.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Which
how
is,
you would do it.
yeah. And that's something I even learned here in Arizona, the difference between a will and a trust and, how it dictates here. But you are, correct, because that's something that we were talking about even with his state care, his
Yeah,
services. Like if we don't have these things in place, he won't be eligible later.
right.
Which is really interesting because it's kind of something that, at least here in Arizona, not a lot of people are talking about. Like a lot of families don't know this information that you're providing today. A lot of families do not know that or are not aware of that. And so then that worry of what's going to happen to my child when they're
Right.
older and, I'm long gone or they're an adult, like how do they receive that care? That's when that fear literally can come to fruition if they don't have these things in place, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and there are ways to mitigate it after the fact. So for example, let's say you didn't do any planning and all the
Right.
money was left to your child, and
Right.
that would disqualify them from receiving benefits.
Right.
Somebody or can help them create what is called a first party special needs trust. So the
Okay.
money went from your estate into your child's name, right? Went to the
Okay.
social security number, and then it could be transferred to a first party special needs trust. And it would have all the same protections as the third party special needs trust, except for one major thing. Upon the passing of your child, the state of Arizona would be primary beneficiary to get reimbursed for any Medicaid that they supplied.
Interesting. Wow.
In a third party special needs trust that you set up for your child, upon the passing of your child someday, whomever you designate as the beneficiary, other children, other family members, charity, the state's not involved.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
yes, there are ways to do it now to help mitigate problems later on.
Right. But I do appreciate that you bring that to light, that even if that doesn't get done, because some of our listeners do have adult children. And I've
Right.
heard this, I've spoken to lots of families where they're like, well, we can't get benefits now, or they've
Right.
lost that because they've inherited money, or, there's too much money and things like that. So I really, that's interesting that you bring that to light, because that there's a fix. I mean, it's not
There is.
ideal, but there's still a way to correct that, is from what I'm understanding from what you're saying.
There is.
That's
There
awesome.
is. There's also something called an ABLE account, which acts very similarly to a first party special needs trust with that payback provision. You can only put in $19,000 a year into it, but it's another way to get money out of your child's name.
Okay.
Another challenge families have is they start funding a 529 plan for college when they're young,
Yeah.
only to discover that they're not going to go to college.
Yeah.
Now, and so what can you do, right? So you have money in
Right.
your child's name. It's going to penalize them from receiving benefit. How do you get it out of their name?
Right.
Number one, you could change the beneficiary of 529 to another child.
Okay.
You could roll it into an ABLE account. You see,
Okay.
an ABLE account is under Internal Revenue Code 529, very similar to a 529 plan.
Okay.
Money goes in after tax, grows tax-free. You could take it out tax-free. Just another way to move money out of their name.
Interesting.
The best thing to do, especially when you have young children, is the parent should open up a bank account or an investment account in their name, but it's your child's money.
Right.
This way, it's in your name. It's not connected to your child's social security number for holiday gifts or birthday presents or whatever it may be.
Right.
And at the same time, if you do create a special needs trust, right, I believe it should not be funded until you're not here.
Right.
That's another
Interesting.
question people have is, great, we created this trust. How are we going to put money into it?
Right.
We're having problems. We don't save, whatever it may be.
Right.
The trust could stand alone or could be created through your wills when you're not here. But if you fund a special needs trust now,
Mm-hmm.
number one, it restricts what you can spend the money on. Number two, the trust in the eyes of the IRS is an entity and you're going to need to file tax returns.
Interesting.
And who wants extra administration on things you don't need to do?
I know. And I don't want to pay any
Right?
more taxes.
And the tax rates are higher in a trust.
Yeah. And that was
So
going to be one of my questions is that true that like the tax rates are higher in a trust, correct?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they occur faster. Right.
Right.
So it's like if you take the IRS tax brackets for families or husband and wife and you condense them,
Mm-hmm.
right? You pay more tax on earlier money that you have.
Interesting.
So all these things that we just talked about can seem overwhelming to the
Absolutely.
families that are listening.
Yeah.
Where do you start? What's most important? What's the greatest threat to your financial world?
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow a process of, number one, getting financially organized, number two, talking about or discussing with somebody what the outcomes you want to achieve in the next year, 2 years, and 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to get there and what financial products they are, then you keep revisiting that over and over and over again. And I mean, I'm looking at the name of your podcast. It's a puzzle.
Yeah. It is.
You got to
Yeah.
take it piece by piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way that you describe it, you do give such simplicity to that, Mike. And I think that that's such a great way that you're explaining it, because it's true. It's like when you hear I know when I was younger and I heard the words financial planning, I was like, yeah, not there yet. Like there's
Right.
the stigma almost attached to it, at least for me. And I think that I'm noticing that even throughout the special needs community where we've talked about, because there are those inner circles where we're having those conversations. Are you setting up this fund, or
Yeah.
did you do this, or how did you get, Drayson into this school? Where did you find funding for that? And so
Yep.
I think that it's always so daunting when you're in the daily grind of it. So to think about big picture with that, it's like the subject that no one really wants to talk about, at least
Yeah, but yeah.
especially if you feel like you're also not financially in your eyes where you should be. that's a tough place to go to. And you brought up a great point about being afraid or having shame or, thinking it should look, the misconception of how it should look. But I think just starting is the most important part, like you said. And you provide some very valuable tools that a lot of our families could benefit from using, and just trying to get at least that snapshot of where to start first. And I think the way you kind of described it, it's like just take it out in chunks, like pieces, little baby steps.
That's it. I mean, you basically summarized what it's taken us years to compile how to
Yeah.
make this simple.
Right.
Taking complex ideas, making them simple, bite
Yeah.
size, and also dealing with another side of what you're talking about, which is there's the math and science about money and investing, which could be
Mm-hmm.
daunting. And then there's the science around behavior.
Right.
And behavior has a huge impact on your money,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
right? What are your money demons? What are the things that your parents taught you? You know, money doesn't grow on trees. We don't talk about money in our family.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed as to where I am compared to where I thought I would be. Like
Right.
all of these things go on in our head, and sometimes they paralyze us from actually taking action.
Right.
So having somebody to talk to about that and understanding that there are two sides, that the math and science of money and investing, and there's the behavioral science around it.
Yeah.
And if you could marry the two together and deal with all those issues,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it took me years to get out of a scarcity mindset
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
switch to an abundant mindset. And then what happens, what I discovered is the abundant mindset, then translates into other areas of my life
Mm-hmm.
where I look at things completely differently.
Yeah.
And one of the things we help people do is discover for themselves their true purpose for money.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean for you?
Yeah.
And if you come from a place of purpose, then the
Yes.
financial decisions that you make, the money decisions that you make, if they're in alignment, you're going to live in a world of abundance and freedom.
Yeah.
But if the decisions that you make go against your purpose for money, you're going to live in a world of fear, doubt, and worry.
Yeah.
That's a hard place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for a lot of our listeners today, I know I can relate. I'm sure our listeners can relate as well, because we've all experienced that. And I came from that generation of, we didn't talk about money. I wasn't taught how to, we didn't talk about a budget or anything like that. We
Right.
didn't even know what that was. It was just a different time then. But I think people are waking up now, and I think that
Sure.
it's becoming something that a lot of families are realizing that they need to do for themselves and for their kids. And so I think that you offer such an amazing, valuable service for a lot of families out there. So I commend you on all of your hard work and expertise too that you've put into this, Mike. Truly.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like you mentioned before, there's nothing more satisfying for me that, taking a family from where they started to where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to implement everything that we recommend or suggest,
Right.
but
But
at
at least they
least
have the
be
information. Yeah.
right. And if they're coachable enough to say, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I want to implement this today, this will do in the future.
Right.
Great. Let's take it piece by piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up today, if
Yeah.
parents or listeners today could just take one step after hearing this episode, I think I know what
Mhm.
it should be based on our conversation, but just to
Right.
reiterate, what should that be? What should that first step be for them?
So what do you think it should be?
The organizational part.
Absolutely.
And to do,
Absolutely.
I want people to use your tool though. I do.
Yeah.
Like I said, for our listeners, I am going to post that in the show notes, because I think that would be also a really good first step for a lot of parents, just to get that snapshot and then, have the conversation. Right.
And what's really cool about the tool is that it takes 5 minutes. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to research and pull numbers and look
Mm-hmm.
up. It's about how much here, about how much there, answer a couple questions. And at the end, you'll get a financial scorecard that you can
Yeah.
download. and
Yeah.
it'll indicate if basically like a stoplight. Here are your red areas. Here are your yellow areas. Here are your green areas.
Yeah.
And wherever you are, that's your baseline.
Yeah. And
And then working to
at least you know where that
people.
sits. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also give you some ideas on what the gaps are. And
Right.
then we offer a free 30-minute conversation with anybody who, hits the button submit at the bottom, and that data will be shared with me and my team, and we'll have a conversation about it, share with you a little bit what we see, what we think, and then how we work with families. And then you could choose to work with us, or you could work with someone else, or, but at least you'll have a starting place.
At least you'll know.
That's
Yeah.
at least
Exactly.
you'll know.
Yeah. Exactly. Mike, thank you so
Cool.
much for your time and energy today. I just love talking with you. Like I said, when we had the discovery call, I knew I wanted to have you on the show because of your expertise and how you are approaching, helping families in financial planning. Because I do think that it's not just the logistics of which plan to pick, but you really do have such a kind approach. And I just want to thank you for all of your hard work again. So thank you for
Well,
the conversation today.
my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. This concludes our episode for today. If you have questions, comments, or even a show topic that you would like to hear about, please feel free to send me an email at info@piecesformypuzzle.com. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you have not done so already, or feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like what you're hearing, please spread the word so that we can continue to empower autism families, and feel free to give us a good rating on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, keep working on your puzzle, and remember, it doesn't have to be solved all in a day. Take care.